Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Continue with the Weimar. So this yesterday was Yud Aleph Nisan, of his birthday, and so with a birthday comes a new chapter in Tehillim. So that year, in 1971, the Rebbe turned 69. He turned 69, so he started saying, um, Kapitel Ayin, chapter 70 in Tehillim. So he quotes there from chapter 70. This we can connect with the Midrash in Tehillim that says, Lam Natsev Miz LeDavid Lahaskir, a song of David to remember. So the Midrash says on it that a king, that he had a flock, got angry upon them, and he removed the flock. He opened up the door to the corral, and the flock left. And he removed the shepherd who was taking care of the flock, right? Yeah. After some time, he brought the flock back in, and he built for them a new corral. But the shepherd was not remembered. Said the shepherd to the king, the flock you brought back, you built for them a corral, you built for them a place, a home. But me, you don't remember. You didn't remember me, says the shepherd to the king. That's what it says in the end of chapter 69 of Tehillim, which was the year before that the Rebbe was, his chapter of Tehillim. That says, it says there, the last two verses, that God will bring salvation to Zion and build the cities of Yehuda, of Judah, which is building the corral, right, for the flock. Meaning Jewish people, God will build for them. But me, the shepherd, isn't remembered. King David's not remembered, meaning the leader, right? The shepherd. Therefore, the beginning of chapter 70, right, of Tehillim, continuing for 69, the last two verses, that verse here, excuse me, Lam Natseach LeDavid Lahaskir, a song for David to be remembered. So we need to understand, right? So Medrash, the king, it's a metaphor of God. Flock is the Jewish people, and the shepherd is the leader, right? King David in this instance. But, it's in general. So after God was angry at the people, right, he brought them, he brought them back. He brought them back because obviously, oh, excuse me. Sorry. So why did he bring them back? Because he had a desire for them. The king wanted them, right? So if he wanted the people, if he wanted the flock, why wouldn't he want the shepherd? That he should remember the shepherd. That there had to be a special request for the shepherd, for the leader. So he explains. The idea of having a will, a desire, is a makif, is encompassing of the individual. Now, it's possible that desire, though, that a person has would only be external, meaning a means to an end, right? In other words, even God's desire could be a means to an end, right? That's why it's necessary that there should be David, the shepherd, should be remembered. Because what is a shepherd? Is about, as we learned, is to internalize, to bring and make godliness internalized, meaning a part of our makeup, of our DNA. If there's missing the internalizing the, of the shepherd, the main thing is missing. Meaning, it's not really you. It's something beyond you. I say, okay, God's beyond us. Hello. God's beyond us. Open up that window there. Thank you.
Yeah.
God is beyond us.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's true. The whole point, though, is to internalize it. Our relationship with God should be internalized.
Are you teaching?
Yes. 7 o'clock. Right?
I thought W started at 8.
Okay. So what's it got to do with the class? Huh? Right?
No.
Okay. Okay. Listen in.
Go for it.
Okay. So I don't know if you need to do that because first of all, firstborns are fasting until after the siyum.
Firstborn are fasting until.
Yeah, so right, so I'm not gonna have, for example, and also afterwards we're having downstairs.
I can make one now.
I said I'm fasting because a firstborn fast. Yes. So I'm not certain about that. Maybe, I mean, make a small one because there'll be others fasting. Okay, anyways. Sorry. So this is a request of King David, the shepherd. This is a request of the shepherd. It should be remembered. Because what the shepherd does is internalize, helps us to internalize, to make it real for us, to make it, um, you know, a part of us rather than beyond us. That our relationship with God is a part of us, real to us, internalized, as opposed to beyond us. Now, and therefore touch the real core essence of the inner desire of God. That's what really God wants. Now, even though the flock, right? God took care of the flock. He brought them in, took care of all their needs. Right. He took care of their needs. He built for them. Right. But that doesn't touch. That's external. That all your needs are taken care of. That's an external reality. What is the internal, deeper truth and inner reality? Is that the shepherd gives you, through the teachings of Torah, an inner connection. Right. And what the shepherd is doing and giving through the study of Torah, and in the study of Torah, the Torah of Mashiach, right? The study of Torah, the way it'll be done, times of Mashiach, which a prelude to that is study Chassidus, is incomparable to the kind of study of Torah today. Right. And even though the verse is talking about the redemption of the Jewish people, right? Times of Mashiach, as it says, God will build, right? Will bring salvation, redemption, and build the cities of Judah, which again is the redemption, the Jewish people. But the main revelation of Jewish people is the fact that there'll be the revelation of the essence of God Himself. That's beyond any cognizance, but it'll be revealed to us. And this was the request of David, King David, Malka Mashiach, King Mashiach, that through this was made, that this is the idea of the shepherd. It gives us an understanding of Torah in its complete, manner. And that to be able to share that with us. That's a request. So that's what the shepherd wants. Wants to give us an understanding of God Himself in such a way that it becomes internalized in us, becomes our reality, because that's the main thing. Right? That's the main thing Mashiach is. That reality that is very much a part of who and what we are. Accordingly,
That's
Is
the
here.
case of, I don't know, it sounds like case that's thinking about the time of Belgium, I don't know. And left the door open. Left the door open. You left the door open.
okay, so currently we can make now the connection, the beginning of our mimer. Yeah, so we can make the connection to the beginning of our mimer about Asher when he brought his sacrifice on the 11th day of Nisan. The choice of the Jewish people in God, that the Jewish people choose God, and God chooses the Jewish people. That the choice of God and the Jewish people is that Jewish people should be a treasured nation. That his inner will is in the Jewish people, not as a means to some end, but as an end in themselves. This becomes the root and the empowerment for the Jewish people to choose God. That we choose God because we're rooted in the inner will of God, as God has that inner will for us. So that gives us the choice that we can make in Him. And further, we can say that the choice is in the physicality, the body of the Jew. So therefore, that gives them the power that the Jewish people make their materiality a reflection of the inner will of God. That materiality is not there for their own sake, but for the service of God. So accordingly, we can explain that the bringing of the sacrifice of Asher, the tribe of Asher, on the name that God chose the Jewish people, that the fortunateness, which the word Asher means fortunate. So fortunate is Israel. No. And happy, yeah, fortunate, happy.
Is translated as happy. Not straight.
Right.
Is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, fortunate, happy.
I'll stick with fortunate.
Okay. Because the Jewish people chose God. Because the main virtue of the Jewish people is that we can affect through our divine service in a material world. And that gives a divine pleasure to God. But in order that they can have that empowerment, that they can draw godliness into this world, is because God chose the Jewish people. It's like, it's an endless loop, if you will, right? And this revelation is drawn through the giving of the offering of Asher on the 11th day of Nisan, which is of his birthday. So it's drawn the power then in a revealed way. And we could say then that through But the Alter Rebbe said, I don't want anything but you alone, God. Especially that this was publicized through the Tzemach Tzedek, his grandson. This gave the power to every single one of us, especially those who followed his path of the Alter Rebbe and all of the Rebbeim, the Rebbe, even though a person can have many desires in life, even including the desire of the animal soul, but all of those desires are truly without a heart. Because your main desire is to fulfill the intent of creation of God's essential desire, which is to make a dwelling place for God in this low world, which is the idea that I don't want anything else but you, God. In other words, I don't want anything else but to fulfill what you need and want from me, to make a dwelling place in this world for you. And even your material desire is mainly to make in the material world a vessel for godliness, that through this should be drawn much more into the material world, much more influence in the material world, and others you'll have more, as the Alter Rebbe said, that God gives a Jew materiality in order that the Jew should make from the material spiritual. And this is understood that God will give much material wealth, and that the Jew will make from it much spiritual wealth. That this is a plenty in quality and quantity, both, until the completion that we connect everything and unite everything with God. As Israel, Torah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu were totally one. And this will be done with great joy, gladness of heart, in the days of preparation for the time of our freedom, referring to Pesach. And then we will have true freedom in actuality through the redemption, the true and final redemption through Mashiach, our righteous one, Karav Mamish, speedily, literally, very soon. Morning. Hello. Oh, okay. All right, folks. We're going to be a bit later for Chumash Rashi. Okay.
Thank you, Papa Fan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.